glad I got sunshine.
Today on Nationalist News, 3 men have risen to fame for their feats in the Italian Risorgimento. These men, Manzini, Cavour, and Garibaldi, the spirit, the brain, and the sword respectively, have greatly contributed to the reunification process. Giuseppe Manzini entered the limelight in 1832 after he formed the Young Italy, an organization with the goal of unifying Italy through nationalism. This group then went on to revolt against current leaders but failed. Camillo de Cavour was the architect of Piedmont Sardinia, a territory in the northwestern corner of Italy, and its revolt against Austria in 1848. This was the first territory to revolt against their foreign rulers, eventually encouraging other regions to resurge. Giuseppe Garibaldi, aka the Sword, was the most famous of this deadly trifecta. He almost single-handedly liberated the Kingdom of Two Sicilies. In addition, he also liberated several of the other Italian territories, winning over the hearts and minds of countless rebels and anarchists along the way. He was known for his army, dubbed the Red Shirts, for, get this, they're red shirts. We now go to our international correspondent with an update on the Red Shirts' progress in Italy.
I'm here in the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies, as Garibaldi's Red Shirts make their advance on a village to free its people.
Ready? Welcome back to Nationalist News. Today, Germany's new Chancellor, Otto von Bismarck, addressed his nation on the popular issue of the unification of the Germanic region. He was quoted as saying that the unification of the many German states would require the use of blood and iron, meaning that widespread conflict will most likely be seen in the foreseeable future.
Franz Joseph, the emperor is so nice, he did it twice. Part of the compromise of 1867, he formed the dual monarchy of Austria-Hungary. This effectively deemed him the King of Hungary and the Emperor of Austria. This came in spite of Hungary's want to become its own sovereign nation, as it was under Austrian rule. This match proved effective as Hungary was strong in agricultural influence and Austria was equally as strong in industrial circles.
This just in. After the end of the 7 Weeks' War, Prussia is now the overwhelming primary force in the Germanic region. Shocking the world in a twist of events, Prussia turned on their allies in Austria, effectively putting Austria out of contention for power of Germany. Now 4 years later, in 1870, Prussia has found themselves in the midst of high tension with France, the cause being an intercepted EMS dispatch insulting a French ambassador. After the recent skirmish with France, Prussia has now acquired Alsace and Lorraine, finishing the now complete puzzle of unifying Germany. As Bismarck previously stated, blood and iron truly did prove successful to unify a broken region. Breaking news. Russia in turmoil after a massacre at the capital. Hundreds dead after the Russian army opened fire after a crowd of peaceful protesters approached Tsar Nicholas II's palace. Sources say that Nicholas was seen moments before the first shots were fired, exiting his palace, coincidentally away from the protesters. These protesters were thought to have been en route to the palace to open the Tsar's eyes to the widespread suffering of the masses. The Tsar has not yet made himself available for comment on this incident. We now go to our reporter on the scene. I'm here with Nico Bellic, a short distance away from a massacre that's becoming known as Bloody Sunday. What happened here, Nico?
Well, me and some other people decided to march on Tsar Nicholas's palace. We were just looking to show him our suffering.
Well, we know that. Any new thoughts on the Tsar?
I definitely have lost much faith in him. I'm not sure, but if I can trust his decisions anymore.
Well, what exactly occurred here? The details are still a little hazy. The military hasn't offered a comment yet.
The civilians here are innocent. We haven't raised a fist or sword against the Tsar, and we were mercilessly slaughtered in scores. We marched up to the gates of the palace, and we were confronted by the military, who fired quite abruptly on their own people. The cruelty was very appalling.
Well, thank you for your time here, Nico, and we're all very saddened by the events here.
Thank you, sir.
This is Brian Fantana, signing off with Nationalist News.
Today, in the borderlands of the Austrian Empire and the Ottoman Empire, tension is incredibly high. It's a so-called Balkan powder keg. It's proving that it is ready to, quote, explode at any moment. This increased tension proves why the primes of these two conglomerates are far behind them, as several ethnic groups clamor for their own nation. Some of these ethnic groups include Croats, Czechs, Slovaks, Poles, Hungarians, Slovenes, Romanians, Serbs, and Ukrainians. It seems that the collapse of these two former superpowers is inevitable.
The last of Spanish influence was pushed out of Latin and South America today as the Argentinian rebels gained national suffrage. Aided by José de San Martín, the forces of the new Argentina made the final push for their freedom. San Martín, known for previously liberating Chile and Peru and his large military track record, is certainly close to overqualified for services provided to the Latin American people. San Martín is among the likes of Simon Bolivar, Toussaint Louverture, and Miguel Hidalgo. These three are of course also known for freeing every New World nation from Haiti to Bolivia to Venezuela. San Martín is arguably the second most acclaimed of these four, and a definite distant second to Bolivar. Bolivar liberated Panama, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Venezuela, and his namesake Bolivia. Currently in the process of being elected as the first president of Bolivia, Bolivar seems to keep adding to his increasingly large list of accolades by the day.